Alright, so I'm going to be posting this before my videos, guys, and you can partake in it or not, but we're going to do some singing bowls and I'm going to say a little prayer. And you're welcome to just sit and relax and free your mind up before the reading with me. I just wanted to do this. I'll timestamp it, so if you want to go straight to your reading, that's fine too. So we're going to go ahead and start. Take a deep breath. I call upon light and all beings whom serve only love and light. I ask you, angels, ancestors, and light beings, to cleanse and protect this space. Ask for your protection and guidance so that your divine sight can be delivered with love and healing for the greatest good. I ask you, angels, ancestors, and guides, to assist those whom these messages are meant for, to assist them on their journey of healing and spiritual growth. I appreciate your unconditional love and guidance. Thank you, angels, guides, ancestors, and Lord of Love. Amen. Okay, guys, so singing bowls. I'm just going to relax and listen. Thank you, Spirit. Okay, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And if so, I'm glad, and I'm happy you guys come to my channel and enjoy your reading. Hi, guys. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, thank you. I appreciate you. We're getting ready to do Aries. Okay, so if you are new, right now, the only thing going on really in Aries is the Chiron. Chiron's in Aries, and it is the ruler of the first house, which is the house of self, individuality, and the way we approach life. So we're going to do a reading for Aries real quick, and I got the whole red theme going on for Aries today. I'm doing the fire signs, so I wasn't sure if I was going to get these done today, but I'm going to work on it here. So I got a couple different decks here, Aries. We are going to start with, these are the Creatures of the Night, I believe is what this tarot's. These are all MJ Cullinan decks that I'm using, besides the Gift of Clarity Virtue deck and the Roots and Wings. Oh, and I'm also using the Starry Beginnings. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to pull from all these, but we're definitely going to see how it goes here, Aries. Okay, so this one, the Hermit. Okay, Hermit coming out, doing some inner reflection, inner work, putting things together inside. Let me show you. This is beautiful art in this deck, and it's this spider in this. His hiding place, his home, and it's interesting because there's just all this going on outside. He's just kind of sitting in his own web. He's sitting in his own making. You know, that's what the Hermit does. We sit in our own making, and we kind of look at everything and see if it's working for us or not. We learn a lot when we're in this Hermit energy about ourselves. and the way we function. And then the Two of Pentacles. Okay. So that's interesting, because Two of Pentacles, you know, there's a lot going on around you right now, Aries, but you seem to be staying within and not really engaging too much in everything that's, and maybe that's the way you're staying balanced. This full moon energy is coming through strong, so maybe you've been in this hermit energy since the Sagittarius full moon, which we just had. I don't remember the exact day, but then we got the Death card. Oh, I love this. I love this. Okay, so this is... It feels like you are going within because you know there's something inside that needs to shift or change. Maybe trying to really figure out what it is that's... With this Two of Pentacles, I'm getting kind of a interesting message with the Two of Pentacles. Usually it's about staying grounded and focused and doing multiple things at once. And that could very well be where you're still like doing a lot outside of yourself, but there's a lot going on inside, a lot. There's a lot of things that maybe you're recognizing just aren't helping with your balance and helping with your transformation here. This is definitely transformation with the Death card here. There's also a feeling here of being like maybe staying out of the rough by going into hermit mode. So you could be avoiding some rough things or some rough energies around you by kind of staying within and kind of just doing your work inside is what I am getting. So let's let's look on the bottom here too. The Two of Wands, decisions, and then we got the Two of Pentacles. There's definitely a choice here on what to do. I feel like it could be like whether to stay and relax and do some inner work, or kind of maybe make some changes outside of yourself by coming out and maybe making a decision to put some energy into something outside yourself to try to transform something outside of yourself. I feel like you could be looking at something outside of yourself and deciding whether or not to go for it, to go that way, but then there's a feeling of wanting to stay and kind of what it feels like is like relax in yourself. Could have been doing a lot of work inside and you found like some comfort and some like a sanctuary for yourself in your quiet place inside, and now kind of life's asking you to step out and do more, you know, like come out of your hermit and kind of come make some changes outside of yourself. But there's a feeling of wanting to avoid avoid some kind of transformation or some kind of change that is trying to happen outside of yourself. Like there's a chance or an opportunity that kind of could be asking you to step outside of yourself and step into a situation to try to change it, transform it. And there's part of you that's just like fine and comfortable where you're at and maybe not wanting to take the chance of like losing what you've gained to either help another or put yourself into something. That's what I'm getting. So let's go ahead and get a couple of these words of clarity, Aries. Virtue, in this Virtue deck. And I really am enjoying using these. Let's get it under this Hermit. This full moon energy is really profound in your reading. It's in two of these cards. And then this little mouse is like illuminated, but it's interesting. I feel like there's something here that is trying to pull you away from yourself and into something else that you could be contemplating, like whether it's a good thing or not for you. That's what I'm getting. And we're going to get more on that. Maybe. Inquiry. Accept your own ignorance and the truth opens to you. Asking for information, investigating the nature of something personally. That's under the Hermit card. So having been in a time where you were kind of having a conversation with yourself, asking yourself the hard questions, whether something's a good move for you or maybe not, or also kind of wanting to find out more about a situation before you put yourself into it, or more about, it's like you're wanting to know more, but finding that more is finding it inside, not outside of yourself. But I feel like that's what you've been doing, and then it's like looking at something that's maybe transformed around you, or that you're wanting to put yourself into to help transform. It could be either or, but it's feeling like you've been looking inside to see like what that is, because maybe you've already done this transformation, or you've already been in this place, and now you're like, oh, I see that. Like, there's something here going on, the nature of something personally. Looking at it from a personal place. Looking at this from a personal place. Temperance, yeah, it's that Two of Pentacles, Temperance. Okay, so this is, yeah, it's like maybe you went in within to like take yourself out of like some maybe harsh environment, harsh situations, some rough energy is what I was feeling, and you have chosen to go within and ask yourself kind of the hard questions about this rough energy, and if it's a personal reflection of you. That's what I am getting, and it says voluntary moderation of passions or appetites, abstinence from intoxication. Could have been seeing some toxic things around you and went in and said, well, am I a part of this, or is this, am I feeding this? I'm almost feeling like, it's weird, because I'm getting like an enabler kind of energy, like whether you were to enable something, or like if you were a part of something that maybe doesn't look, it looks rough now, and it looks, but if maybe you were a part of it and you went within and you're saying, okay, now do I go back in to transform this or change this? And this could be after your own, and it says sober as a judge. So it's being clear-minded to make a good choice to balance something out here, and put some structure and some balance into something that feels like overdone, overindulgent, pulling yourself back from something that maybe you were putting too much into, or it's interesting. I'm getting this, and it's like, oh, I do want to be taken out of this, or I'm taking myself out of this, but then now there's like a feeling of looking at it and going, am I missing an opportunity here, or something like that, Aries. We got ambition. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Okay, so that is desire and determination to achieve a goal, aspiration for success. This definitely has something to do with transformation and being honest with yourself. Going within and being honest with yourself about something that was unbalanced, that you need to be present for and engaged in, and you pulling yourself out of it in order to ask yourself those hard questions like, where was my part in that? I feel like you've been being very honest with yourself, trying to look at your part in something that was probably way out of balance, and asking yourself, like, personally, how that you affected it, it affected you, and now coming in with a really balanced and fair, open mind and determination to go back in and transform it now that you've seen it. Like, there's something here I feel like you've been looking at, maybe within yourself, that could have been a part of something, or something big, something quite dramatic is what it's feeling like, and you pulled yourself out, and it feels like it was just like really rough. Like, this could have been addictions. This could have been something like that. It says sober as a judge, like, and then realizing like maybe this affected other people, or in a sense affected you, and now you need to get back out and kind of venture out and trust yourself, and trust your talk with yourself, trust your rapport you have with yourself. It says desire and determination to achieve a goal, aspiration for success. It's like, I really want to get through this. I really want to be balanced. I really want to be able to handle this and not overdo either one. Like, it feels like you got at least a couple things here you're trying to balance out, Aries. And it's like really trying to keep that balance, and it's saying, if you don't try, you won't gain anything. So I am feeling that, like, do I want to go back in and try to balance this out, or try to reconcile this, or something like that? And Spirit's saying, yeah, this is part of the transformation. That's what I'm getting. This is part of the change. This is part, you have to be ambitious about wanting this change, wanting this transformation, and determined to get through it, and put yourself back into it for a successful outcome. But put yourself back into it with and I say sober mind, but it's just like balanced, not putting too much into one thing. This has been a message collectively for everybody. I think it's just in the air right now where it's like we really need to not put too much into one thing or too much into another thing. We have to just kind of really try to balance out what the most important things for us right now. We got fear and exposed. Yes, okay. Fear and exposed came out. Oh, yes. So something here definitely might have backfired. And some kind of fear you had to go within and look at. Or the fear of being seen. This is interesting. A fear of being seen as like a victim or a weird. Okay, so the fear of being perceived one way or another from this past past nature, this past part of yourself. You went within and you realized I didn't really know any better, whether this was because of other things and things that were imbalanced in your life. I feel like you could have been in kind of hiding, but in a way reflecting on like why you need to go into this like state of like not being around people or doing something, like just kind of, I feel like everything just kind of stopped because either you were afraid of something being seen about yourself or something was exposed to you that made you afraid, and you kind of ran back within and said, why am I afraid of this? Why am I afraid of like doing this and this? Why am I afraid of diving in and making this change in my life is what I'm feeling. There's a big change here that you could be still contemplating making in your life, Aries. And if it's you're going to know what that is, but let's get one of these real quick. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Embrace the dark. Yes, so that is this hermit energy and this death and transformation. It can feel really crazy when we're going within and changing things and looking at like our temptations, our addictions, our crutches, our weaknesses, and then realizing now we know what those are, so we can be a better judge and balance those things out. And we can go back out and make the changes in the material world that we need to make to show that we're determined and that we've learned to balance ourselves out. This is shine your true light upon this earth. This is saying come out, Aries. Whatever you've been hiding from, whether it was just you were afraid to say, hey, I've been in my addiction for 5 years, or I've been in this relationship that's horrible, or it's toxic, or sometimes we're just really afraid to admit our weaknesses and the things that have taken over our lives, and that could be anything that takes away your sound mind, your sober judgment. It doesn't have to be necessarily drugs or anything, alcohol, but those are things I do hit on because I am a recovering drug addict, alcoholic. So I do know this is a very important step in not just recovery. It's recovering your whole existence, your whole life. It's coming out and showing the change, showing what you've learned, showing that you've done the self-reflection, taking your responsibility in the places where you knew no better, and sometimes you did. Now there's a feeling here of needing to kind of, there's a fear of like not being accepted or being judged or not being able to keep the balance. If you were to say you're working on something within, you're doing the hard work, and you're like, oh, this relationship, or oh, this job, or whatever, I'm afraid it's going to throw me off balance. It's going to pull me out of my my comfort and the security I've created for myself while I was doing this inner work. And I feel like it's saying, embrace that part and take it, give it, show it, expose the fear. It says shine your true light upon this earth, embracing the dark. So it's like, I know that's part of my true light. It's like, I have learned to embrace the dark, because without embracing it, I'm not embracing a part of my transformation and myself and my lessons. It's really hard to say that stuff out loud because, it can be misjudged and it can be looked at as whatever. It doesn't matter, but you'll know the truth. Like, the truth. And there's a feeling here of if you show, like, once you show that and people see transformation and they see change, even after dark times, they have no choice but to see that there's good and there's light and there's growth and there's transformation and there's balance where there maybe once wasn't any. So there is a feeling here of being afraid. And this could also be like going within and contemplating whether to expose something about yourself, say something about yourself, maybe a truth that you've been keeping hidden. And it's saying, hold it, shine light on it, and show it, and show that you are determined to reach this transformation goal. Maybe that's what this dead stopping in the tracks feeling is. It's like, oh no, if I go through this, if I'm going to go through this, that means I have to say this truth, or I have to expose this truth about myself. And I just want to let you know, there is a lot of harsh truths about ourselves that we definitely don't want to expose to people. But it does help our growth. And not only that, but the more acceptance you find in yourself and your own ignorance and your own, and ignorance isn't, it just means you didn't know better. Like when we're young, we don't know how to handle our emotions. So we turn to drugs, we turn to alcohol, we turn to meaningless sex, or whatever it is, you guys. I mean, there's so much us humans do that we need to learn from, and we need to definitely look at. And that's that hermit. We go in and we look at that stuff. We look how we're spinning our own web and how we're keeping ourselves away from change in life and living. And we're just hanging on by like a thin thread sometimes. And that's kind of what this feels like, Aries. It does feel like you've been in kind of a place of contemplation and deciding whether to kind of move towards something and kind of help make this change like real and happen and like transform something. But it's going to require you facing some fear of exposing yourself. Maybe another. I do these specifically for, but this is also, by the way, I'm being reminded that Aries is the Chiron right now, which is the wounded healer. So any wounds around the self and individuality and the way we approach life, which is the way we handle emotions and the way we handle everything, that's all Aries house. That's where we're doing our healing right now, is how we are wounded in the way we are perceived by others and the way we perceive ourselves and the way we stand out as individuals or not, or the way we handle our life, handle work and multiple things at once. And when it gets overwhelming, what do we do? Do we sink or do we sail? You know, like that's the kind of energy I'm getting for this reading. And you might want to just like go ahead and look up the Chiron stuff too. It's just interesting, the wounded healer energy. It's like the only way to heal those wounds is by helping others, which means we have to expose our truths. We have to expose our dark. We have to expose those wounds that caused us sometimes a lot more wounds, and also healing and wisdom and growth, transformation, because there's just a feeling here of needing to be in both worlds, in both energies, you know, the healer and the wounded, you know, that I'm getting that Chiron energy for your guys' reading. That's interesting. Let's get one of these. Embrace the dark, huh? Ooh, and then we got direction. You're looking for some direction on where to go and what to do right now. Do I step out? Do I step? And then death, again, transformation. This is saying, you know, there is this blockage. There is a clear obstacle. And it's some kind of fear about being like exposed or maybe known for like the truth. Something like that that needs to be embraced, and you need to shine your light on it, which means you need to let people see it isn't all dark. There is lessons and there's learning and there's even love in those dark places. And it's interesting. I'm getting such a scared, I'm getting a scared energy, a very fearful energy about stepping out of yourself after re-examining and asking yourself for all the answers, and you receiving those answers and probably being told, now you have to cut this out, you have to cut this out, you have to cut this out, you have to release this, you have to balance this out, this is gonna, and then you have to go out and make it happen, like outside, like show it to people, show your transformation to people, show your lessons. It's very interesting. Show your new approach, which this multitasking kind of energy is here. I'm going to get one more of these. And then night, yeah, shadow work. This has been in the air, you know. I did earth signs yesterday, and there was a lot of like shadow work too, and it's not bad, you guys. And then on the bottom, transformation, okay? There's definitely something ending here, and it's the end of one existence, one life, one way of approaching life to a new way of approaching life. But we have to be, even through our fears, we have to own it, you know, feel it. Okay, so I love this because it's like feeling it, willing it, healing it. You know, the only way we have to feel it first, like, oh dang, you know, I really feel the pain I put on others, or the pain I put on myself, both usually. And now it's like a balancing. It's like a balancing out of the, it's like, okay, I did all this. Now I need to try to do good stuff with the lessons I've learned. And some of those lessons were just there, and it's like it's not like you're trying to learn these lessons. It just happens. And you just all of a sudden realize, I want to live a different way, or I want to approach life a different way, or I actually don't want to stay hidden from this truth any longer. I want to bring it forward. I want to transform it inside and outside, make it match up. That's also temperance. It's making the inside match up to the outside. It's really, and then this two of pentacles, you know, it's like this balancing act between being all in and being all out. It's just kind of like this in between, and I think there's a feeling here of kind of treading lightly too right now, because this does feel very like scary. I mean, but doesn't mean don't do it. It means do it. Do the hard stuff, you know. Let's get one of these under here, you guys. The King of Swords reversed, yeah. Yeah, you could have, this is really feeling like maybe this is feeling very, don't kill the messenger. It feels like maybe you were lying to yourself or lying to others, or not being front forward about what's going on, like what's going on here. And part of balancing this out and your transformation is exposing that truth, because it feels like there was an untruth is what I'm feeling. And you know, you need to kind of like embrace that untruth to shine the truth. It feels like, okay, so I've went through this in my life. I was going through all this fear and lying, and a majority of my life felt like, oh my gosh, like afraid of the truth, afraid of saying my feelings, afraid of, so I just numbed it, and I caused more issues for myself, which caused more things I wanted to hide, which in turn turned into a big cycle of hiding and lying to myself and others, and not owning and the actual truth that every time I was emotional or said something that was over the top, really emotional, out there, I was rejected, or I wasn't accepted, or I was abused, or I was called names, and it made me resentful, and it made me angry, and I didn't know how to handle the anger and the resentment and the rejection and the unacceptance for my chaotic emotional self. By the way, all worked out for the most part now. I'm still working on a lot, but it's all about balancing out those emotions. And when we don't know how to handle that stuff, which is ignorance, when you're young, you just don't. And a lot of the times it's really deeply seated, like triggered too by other relationships we have in our lives after the first most important ones, where we feel rejected for sharing our feelings, our thoughts, our deepest truths, and we get rejected or told that it don't matter, or that, you know, if you cry, you're a big baby, or whatever it is. You guys, there's something really deep seated here where the truth is actually the truth is shadow, but the shadow is the light, if that makes sense. It's like it's like when you look at the truth of why you've chosen to do things, or why there's it's like there was an innocence to you. There was an innocence, or an ignorance and innocence. And we make choices from that place that we can't go back and change, you guys. All we can do is own them now and say, you know, I didn't know what I was doing, honestly. I didn't know what I was doing. And when you go in and you look at that, it hurts, you know, because you're like, gosh, there was years I didn't know what I was doing with my own self, and like I didn't realize how much all this mattered to me, or how much I cared about others' opinions of me, or anything like that. And then eventually you learn, like, you know, you can tell yourself you don't care about other people's judgments or opinions of you, but we do. We are social creatures, and we do. But there is a healthy boundary to saying, no, not going to take your judgment or your criticism of me personally. I'm not going to let it hurt me. And I'm sure in the hell not going to do something to harm myself, especially just to get you back, or just to, you learn better choices. I feel like you've learned a lot here. And I feel like there's something that you want to kind of, there's a fear though of like saying the truth. Like, this is scary for me saying this stuff. Like, it's true though. It's real. This is real crap. Like, it's real life. Like, this is not like, this stuff doesn't come like easy, It's crazy. Let's get one for temperance, you guys. Oh. 9 of Cups. Being content, balanced, happy, healthy. There is a feeling here of you maybe having been in an unhealthy place, or an unhealthy place. And this could be with another too. But if this is, the deepest exposure of your deepest fears, maybe about your self-image, maybe about how you're perceived, you're happy with yourself. You've balanced something out in your life. You've went inside. You've realized there was a lot of unknowns there, and there was a lot of innocence and ignorance, and in being honest with yourself and being front forward about that and being transparent about that really does bring in it shines light on the dark. Like, I can say all this bad stuff that I've done and been done to me, but the real light is the transformation and the change and the growth that happens. It's not what we've been through to get here. It's where we're at right now in the moment. So we got to remember that. And this is being happy in the moment and trying to really stay balanced. And maybe there's a fear here of that balance, losing that self-love, losing that self-made happiness. Because, I remember when I was going through the first parts of mine, nobody wants you to be happy. Like, especially if you've hurt people and stuff, they're like, why? Like, they will seriously fight you tooth and nail about how happy you should be. And how can you live like that? How can you forgive yourself? How can you have done all this crap and still look them in the face and say, I love myself? It's unfathomable. How could you possibly love yourself? How could you possibly have any, it's just interesting the way people will do that. And like, when the change is right there in front of them, and it's like, wow, you really are hateful. Like, don't hate yourself here. This is self-love, and maybe there's a fear of exposing this, this transformation to others and how it came about. But if you don't try, you're not going to gain any more from the experience. There is a feeling here of being very self-content and not wanting to venture out and share your story or share your failures, your victories, all that with others, and hiding it. Maybe that's why you went in. It's like, why am I hiding this? Like, I'm good now. Like, because we're still afraid of people's stuff. We're afraid of their judgments, and that's why it's important we open that door for others too. When they are having their moments and their times of shadow and darkness and not knowing how, and we try to help. We're like, oh, I understand why you're feeling resentful, or I understand why you turned to this or this, but it's not helping you. It's not helping grow you. There's healthy ways of doing things. There's unhealthy ways of doing things. This is the things we learn. It feels like whatever Aries this is resonating with has been through the ringer, and possibly with addictions and exposing those addictions and fears. And all of the addictions came from the it's interesting, like, in emotional truths and fears of being like, that's where a lot of addictions come from, you guys, is just trying to numb out the fact that you are feeling so much, and you have it feels like no understanding. But there's understanding available today, now, with the right people, with the, obviously there's always people that are never going to understand this energy, or maybe not even try, even if, then we got the 6 of Pentacles. Yes, it's like, I feel like something here, and then the Knight of Cups. There's something emotional here that definitely has happened, and it's like giving back. Like, there's a feeling here of you doing a lot of work inside and needing to kind of venture out and help somebody else with a transformation, or help somebody understand. Like, it's interesting. There's a maybe understand, like, this really fragile balance that you're holding here and you are happy with, is actually beneficial for more than just you. Even though there could be energies around you that you're afraid of dealing with, that you're afraid of, because they may make you feel like guilty or shamed or bad because you're working on yourself, or the stuff you did in the past or whatever. But there's a feeling here of being able to kind of help outside of yourself now, because you've done the work inside. So it feels like there's definitely something here you can definitely contribute to, that you're being asked to contribute to, whether this is somebody else's transformation or somebody else's exposure, and maybe you're afraid of exposing somebody else's addiction or somebody else's but by exposing, it doesn't mean like spreading off rumors or anything. It just means like calling people out and saying, look, this is what you're going through, and I know that because this is what I've been through, and let's work on shining some light on it so it can be attended to, and it can be nurtured, and it can be loved, and it can be forgiven, and you can grow, and you can just become a better, more balanced human being because of it. That's what I am feeling, Aries. So this is a really interesting message for you guys. It's really interesting. I really want to inquiry, temperance, and ambition. All right, you guys. Well, that's your reading. It is really heavy. I will say that this is probably the heaviest reading I've done for a minute. There's a lot here. It feels like a big move. It feels like a big step, but it feels like, and there is a feeling here of needing to be really balanced in your judgment right now, about how you either address somebody else's fears or your own, of being like front forward and honest about like where you've been, like inside, like what you've been digging through, what you've been sorting through, what you've been healing, and taking it out there and really achieving a goal, and maybe helping, but there's still a feeling of wanting to avoid like the thorns, and wanting to avoid like others' judgments, and that's that fear. So we have to fight our fears for this transformation, you guys. Oh, this is a heavy reading, Aries. So that is your reading, and I hope it does help somebody. Believe in your power to manifest. I love that. And perspective. You know, that's another thing. We sometimes can see things as a lot more scary than they really are. It's like we picture the worst when it could be really better, beneficial. So that is another thing. Let's look on the bottom here. And honesty. Just being honest. If this is about talking to somebody else, or being honest about maybe some things that you are working on balancing out in your life that you may need help for too, to finish this transformation, you may need to expose your fears, expose your darkness, to shine some light on it, to get some help. This is feeling like, this immediately was feeling like it could be related to some kind of, this could be domestic issues. I mean, it could be alcohol, drugs. It can be like abuse. It can be just getting that help that you need, you guys, if you need help. And also giving that help if you have it to give. And giving that kind of helping to help balance somebody else out, or try to get them to see that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and there is transformation, and there is change. Even in the darkest of the dark, there's good. So that is a really powerful message, you guys. So thank you again, and I appreciate you guys for coming, watching a reading, and I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll talk to you later.